Hello everyone, my name's Janice and I'm the owner and creator of the Glamour Club, and we were set up to eradicate loneliness caused by social isolation. So we consider ourselves to be pioneers, we're catalysts and activists for change, and we are champion lonely people in our communities. And what we're doing is we have an event, and we bring all our community together. Well, for people who are 50, but everybody is welcome, and we're dementia friends as well. And we're going virtual because we are the grand finale for Worthing Mental Health Awareness Week. So we're doing the tea at 3. So in honour of all of that amazing work that's going on, I'm doing a few interviews with people that really inspire me. So that's enough about me and the Glamour Club. So I'd like to hand you over to my beautiful guest, Kate. Right, Kate, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, how are you doing? I'm good. Yeah, I've been in Worthing for about 13 years, and I set up I was very much guided to Worthing, and I found myself setting up a CIC, a circus project, to help bring awareness around kind of creativity and sort of arts, and yeah, just kind of getting people together to create skills through circus training and circus skills.
So CIC is a community interest company, for those who don't know. So all the profits that you make, everything goes back in and it's spread out to the community around you. Yeah, wonderful. Thanks, Kate. And I'd just like to let people know how we met, if that's okay.
Please
well,
do.
Kate, I'm not sure that you know this, but I actually met you one evening when I was sitting down on Splash Point, feeling very lonely, and you came along with all your hula hoops and all your fire breathing stuff, and you know, one minute I was sitting alone, next minute I was surrounded by people, and as the sun was going down I watched you doing your fire poi, and I just remember sitting there thinking, I really want those people to be my friends, you know. So real on 6 years, and my son had done poi, and I was so impressed by that. And I saw an advert come up for a 6-week course. So I joined your beginners course, and I've been there ever since. So, and it really has given me a space to go to where we leave the world behind, and within 10 minutes we're relaxed and we're practicing our flow. And yeah, so that's how we met, Kate. But I wonder if you can tell me a little bit about loneliness, you know, because you're a leader, Kate, you know, in what you do, and you've achieved so much. But can you tell me a little bit of a potted history about you know, how you have come through all sorts of different things on your life's journey, and to who you are today, and any periods and pockets of loneliness you might have felt, and how you overcome that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was reflecting on that today and thinking, God, sort of what periods of my life was I lonely? And to be honest with you, I think I was always lonely. I was a bit of an odd spot at school. Well, that's what I used to call myself, the odd spot. I was a bit different to all the other children. And plus I was diagnosed with dyslexia by the age of 7. And that obviously in the 70s was quite a hard thing for a parent to deal with. So I kind of got sort of pushed out into special schools and alternative needs schools as well as mainstream. I always loved drama and theatre, and I was always putting on a show. As far as I can remember, in my playground time, I would be getting people together to put on a show. So I'd always been really good at that, but I think I lacked sort of direction. And by a very young age, I was already drinking and starting to access drugs sort of by the age of 14. So probably by the age of 22, when I'd moved to Brighton to live my dreams, I was actually fully blown sort of drinking and using drugs. And I kind of realized like they were all really lonely times, because I think I was quite misunderstood, because I was different. I didn't want to be like everybody else, to be honest with you. I was quite happy in my difference, but difference doesn't always fit in you know, villages or so whatever. So yeah, and then in 1999, I had sort of a, I can call it epiphany really, but I had a very major house fire, and so that sort of my nerve system off. So I was a very nervous person as well. I was heavily drinking and using by that point. It seemed to be the only way I could deal with society. But I also, in the circles I'd been around, thought that that was normal. And over time, I was actually getting quite sort of righteous, kind of, there's got to be more to life than this. And I went to Israel in 1999, and in my head, to find something than me or bigger than me. And yeah, that was a really interesting time for me there, very lonely. But I was also, in my loneliness, I was actually, like, I would go out and get life. I wasn't afraid to go out and get life, but I was actually I would happily travel on my own. You know, I didn't always need like people around me. And I think back to kind of my party days, and actually I would use and use and use so I could go on the dance floor and be the best dancer. And it seemed that that was my look at me. Yeah, and then I went into recovery around the age of 30, and by then I was using on my own. Most of the people I was around were using, and
Can I just ask you, Kate, what was it you were actually using?
mainly sort of cocaine and alcohol, just looping around each other. And I was at the time in quite a high paid job as well, so I could afford it. I always worked, so then you wouldn't know you had a problem, because, you know, most drug addicts, they don't work or whatever. You know, a lot of functioning addicts can do this stuff. And then, yeah, when I went to recovery, I remember my first kind of meeting and thinking, oh my God, God's here in Brighton. Like, how can God be in Cocaine Anonymous? And God, you know, I didn't find him in Israel, or I didn't find him in Thailand or India. He was in Brighton all along. So it was a bit of, again, I sort of went through the 12-step program. I did a lot of recovery because I kind of woke up. I think there's a point in your life where you wake up. And after about 4 years, I started to get into way more spirituality and sort of manifestation and positive thinking and mindfulness, yoga. And I used to host like big full moon parties, like gatherings. I've always been about people gathering and people meeting, but actually a lot of the time I wouldn't speak to anyone. I would hold the space and host it, but if people were trying to speak to me, I'd be like, yeah, I'll go over here and put a log on the fire. So yeah, I went through recovery, and yeah, I chose to spend, I think, about 5 years on my own. Like, I moved to Worthing, I got out of Brighton, I got a nice house here. I definitely felt like I was being looked after by this point by the higher powers. And yeah, and then random meeting, met a guy and his wife who gave me money to set up Circus Scene. My passion was already a good few years in by this point. And then kind of needed to tell people after a lot of like silent retreats. I'd go into silence for like 10 days and lots of work. I did a lot, not so much therapy, but a lot of sitting in sharing circles and shamanic work, and I'm going to sweat lodges, and, you know, I was off doing stuff. And I ended up being at the Brahma Kumaris that's in Worthing for a good 4 years as well, studying there, the University of Spirituality. And yeah, and I met Matt as well. So I had no sort of plans to sort of be with anybody, and yeah, lots of kind of sitting on the pier on my own. And then one day everybody just sort of came, and even though I had a crew, I've always had a crew. I've always liked to shut the door when I go home and know that I can take that space. But it was like I learned to sit with my loneliness and actually be okay with being alone. Yeah, so lots of work there. And then, yeah, I sort of met Matt and like a whole new crew. Circus skills has been my savior. Like I saw the Poi first in Israel in 1999. And if there was anybody I found, it was a set of Poi. And I've made it my life mission to teach people because of the benefits of it. I feel like Poi has absolutely saved my life completely. And yeah, I just kind of...
A bit about what the Poi are, Kate, for those who don't know what they are.
I haven't got any here. So Poi is a Maori skill known as a ball on a string. There's plenty of stuff on Facebook of what we do with Passion Circus and Fire Arts. And I also have a website. But yeah, it's, for me, Poi is about teaching people to unravel their body's conditionings and then coming away from their own self-criticism and judgment and I can't and this is so hard and I'm rubbish, and getting people to kind of take a step back from life and be more patient actually, and also again sort of work for it. If you want it, like if you want to get well, you're going to have to work. It's I can't make somebody else well. So I take quite a lot of pride in when a student says, oh my God, thank you so much, Kate, like you've changed my life. And I say, no. I say, you turn up to the class, you've changed your life. All I've done is facilitate that so it can happen. Yay!
That's my set of Poi.
Yeah, 100% coordination skill. And when you start to combine your Poi with breath and breathing, it becomes a flow state. So you become the meditator, you become the observer. But again, we're at a point where we're all like, and actually we need to let go of anything we're holding on to be able to flow through life. So my life went from kind of very on the edge, like kind of should be dead really a few times, to waking up and deciding that I didn't want to be what I was, and just doing my best to change it. And I'm not going to lie, it's taken years and I'm still working. It's work in progress, you know. It's but I feel that I went and got a tool bag and I topped it up with lots of tools that could help me. And I do feel right now, especially with this UK lockdown and loneliness, that actually it was a really good tool bag to get. Even though some of those tools may not have worked or I've been too down in this lockdown to deal with it, actually that bag's with me and I can't put that bag away now. It's there. So yeah, I think sort of accessing, and what I used to like about groups was sharing stories. I didn't feel alone in recovery. I wasn't the only addict actually. There was loads of us and it was like, oh wow, there's thousands of us. Suddenly I wasn't, you know, when you're like, I'm the only one. I wasn't. And some of the other stories were way more horrendous than mine. And actually my story was quite glamorous because I was an active addict. So I was traveling and going around the world, but wherever I went, I got in trouble.
Yeah. So it's really good, Kate, that you found something that really worked for you. And, you know, it has taken a series of years, but one day you just woke up and decided, that's it, I really don't want to do that anymore, you know. And you've made not only your own life a lot better, but many people that you come in contact. I know that when you drop Matt off, who's our still walking butler, when you drop him off, you always come into the Glamour Club,
Yeah,
and you make me stop. You give me, well, you don't make me stop. What it is that if I could try and describe it, you give me a hug, but you don't let go. And I always weep.
You do, don't you? Oh, Janice is crying again.
But
It's
it's
about
because I'm so busy rushing around doing everything.
stuff for other
When you
people.
come in, it just makes me stop just for a second, you know? And I really love that. So, Kate, I could speak to you all night or listen to your story all night. And it is very difficult, I know, to just put it in a potted
10
history, you
minutes,
know?
5 minutes,
There's
and
40
10
years,
minutes.
describe it in 10 minutes, please. But, you know, if I could just ask you, why do you like the Glamour Club?
That's a very good question. So I'm a trained care assistant. I've always loved the elderly. They fascinate me for a start. I love community. Like, I love the sort of work you do where you are bringing people together. You're putting smiles on people's faces. You're making people laugh. One of the main reasons I love the Glamour Club is because you all get dressed up, and actually we don't get dressed up anymore. You know, and it's like stepping back in time a little bit and remembering the history of English tea and cakes, and it's a civilized community of people who bring such beauty. And it's so important that people know that they can access, whatever age you are, whether it's Poi or the Glamour Club, that people know that there are places out there, and there's zillions of people waiting to help people,
Yeah.
as long as people are prepared to do the work. And as far as the Glamour Club, the people need to turn up. And I always say this, it's the people who make our events, not us. We create them. It's the people who make them. So anybody who does go to the Glamour Club, you make this event and you've made it for your community. And
Yeah,
that's
that's exactly what we say.
Alice and her amazing crew. And Alex, you know, you ladies work so hard. It's passionate, you know, you're oozing it. Passionate people just ooze, and it's great because we've got the love to give, and people want to receive that, and then people go, and now I've got something to give.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. Thank you
Thank
very
you so much.
much.
You're
Well,
so
that's
welcome.
our time over, I'm afraid. So we're just finished with Bob Smitherman's full strap line, which I pinched
Stop
because I
there,
love
is it?
it. So
Oh,
if
nice.
you see someone who doesn't have a smile on their face, give them yours. Thanks, Kate. Thank
Take care,
you.
lovely.